Hello and a huge welcome. Today I want to talk about how to use visualization to grow your income really, really fast. So, when it comes to visualization, you have been given a lot of tools, meditations, and affirmations, and so many things. And there is a lot of emphasis on try this meditation, do this meditation. But there is a really powerful piece when it comes to visualization. And that piece is you. When you are visualizing, you are actually telling your subconscious mind, because it doesn't know the difference between real and imagined, that what you're visualizing is your reality. Okay, now there are a couple of mistakes which most of the people make when it comes to that, and that's why it doesn't work for them. So I want to highlight three of the key mistakes. The first mistake is that if what you're visualizing is far not aligned or contradictory to your belief system, then the moment you start visualizing, or even when you go in your meditation, there is a second thought. So there is one thought which you think at a conscious level, what you really desire, and there is a second thought which is response to that thought, which rejects that or denies that. And a lot of times people say that my physical reality is getting in the way, I can't feel it, like I can't really get in that state, because every time I do that, I'm looking at my circumstances. So the biggest mistake, what we want to understand, is that it's not the circumstances that are causing you not to be in the feeling. It's actually the identity that you have about yourself. And when you have that identity and it negates the new visualization or the new thought that you're thinking, and then it backs the negation by the proof of your physical reality. So your physical reality is a reflection of that identity, and that identity is using that as a proof to support the idea that it's not going to work for you. So the key here is to understand, before I visualize, what in my belief system does not allow that, what part of me is not behind that, what part of me doesn't support that. So if you are thinking like earning money is really hard, and whenever I've seen anybody in my family or around me earn money, they had to really make a lot of sacrifice and it was so hard for them, and then you see yourself with a lot of money, all of a sudden you will not get in the feeling, but you'll start to question how, and you'll feel even more overwhelmed. Okay, so when you feel the opposite of what you want to feel, you attract the opposite as well. So sometimes visualization can have a negative impact, because what we really want to understand is that once you feed that image, whatever you feel afterwards, your body oscillates, moves, vibrate on that frequency, and you attract from the quantum that frequency. So you start to attract the particles. When I say particles, what I mean is plots, people, circumstance, things around and from the quantum which align with how you are vibrating. Okay, so the first thing is checking in with your identity, what you're conscious of being, your belief system. The second thing with visualization is that we ask ourselves this question while visualizing: do I believe that? And the problem is you don't believe that. That's why you are visualizing and you want to create a new belief and you want to create a new reality. But when you're actually saying to yourself, do I believe that? You realize you don't, and you now force yourself to believe it, and you get so hung up on the idea that, why am I believing this? What is wrong with me? And by doing that, you're actually reinforcing the old belief, focusing on that instead of visualizing. So one thing that has really been powerful for me, which I have almost like I've cracked it quite intuitively, but this is the thing, this literally leads to miracles, is the fact that you don't have to worry about when you'll believe. I'm not saying you don't have to worry about believing, because belief will create the reality. I'm not telling you anything different, but you cannot control when you believe, because your subconscious mind is the womb of creation, and the moment the idea gets in the womb, it's planted, you'll start believing. But you can, like when you're trying to have a baby, you cannot control when you have the baby. You can just try to have the baby, right? So you can just impress your subconscious mind without any attachment or force. A lot of times what people do is, whenever they start something, the idea is, oh, it's taking too long, I should have done it by now, right? This approach to anything that I should have done it by now is actually delaying it. Because if you think of a child, when they start walking for the first time, they fall so many times, they get up again. But if we tell the child, you should have done this by now, how do you think they would feel? How excited would they be about running, right? So what we really want to do is we want to focus on the idea that belief will come and it's not your job, and any idea that you hold in the mind, that means if you keep impressing it, you will start to believe it. Okay, so you don't have to force yourself to believe it. In fact, force negates. So if you force it, it's going to go in the opposite direction, because you're going to focus on not believing. And you're going to think, what is wrong with me? Why am I not doing? And I remember the day in my life, and I used to, like, every single day I would get up and say, do I believe that? And I realized I didn't. And I used to get so annoyed with myself. And getting annoying with yourself, or forcing yourself, or being harsh on yourself is not the way to believe. It's the way to not believe. Okay? So instead of doing that, what I do now, which is really, really powerful, is I create scenarios with that image. So let's say if I'm manifesting a specific amount of money, what I do is I say to myself, how would I tell my mom when I have that? And I tell my mom. And I say, and then in my mind, I create the whole scenario and I tell my mom. And then I would say, how would I go and tell my husband when I have that? In fact, I want to share with you something so funny. So I had this image that when I manifest that amount in my business, like that monthly income, I always saw myself like he's sitting in his office, in his home office, and I'm going to him and he's working and he's saying to me, just give me 2 minutes. And I'm seeing him, doing the work on Excel and stuff. And then when he looks towards me and tell him, look, I manifested this money. And he asks me like, wow, this is so good. And did you do it this month? And all of that, right? So I used to visualize this whole conversation. And once I decided that I'm going to do it, I'm going to not just visualize, I'm going to actually go in his office because he wasn't there. And I'm gonna do the whole thing, like actually do that. But the only difference is he's not gonna be there, so it doesn't matter, right? So I went in, I opened the door, and I was thinking in my mind that I'm saying that to him, and he was sitting there. And for 1 second, I thought, is it my physical, or it's my imagination, or is it actually happened, or what? So literally I go to the state, I was thinking like maybe it has actually happened. That's why he's sitting there, right? So when you do this, it's so powerful that sometimes even at a conscious level you forget. But it doesn't matter what your conscious mind thinks, but that was just so funny. So when you visualize like that, you create scenarios. You're like, okay, I'm going shopping now. I go shopping anyway, right? But how would I feel when I have that money, right? Or how would I do this? Or how would I, or you keep on bringing that and you let go of it with joy, with excitement, without any like, do I believe it yet? I need to believe it. None of that, with just like very loose touch. It's like it's a preference. It's not a need. It will be fun to have, right? And that's the fastest frequency. So because anything where you are so attached and where you're like, I need this to happen, you are in the lack. And anywhere where you're so like constantly counting days and you're thinking when it's going to happen, you're in lack. The best frequency is the light-hearted frequency where you're like, wouldn't it be great? And then you just feel it, it's so good, and then you release it. Okay, so this is really, really important. And when you do this step, what you'll realize is that your manifestation will literally be copy pasted. So I remember when I was manifesting, attracting lots and lots of clients and having Zoom full of clients, right? Beautiful image. And I used to visualize that. And one day when that actually happened, I literally felt like I'm going to pass out, because it was so like, it was a copy paste of my imagination. So your imagination is literally duplicated in your physical. It's a preview, like Einstein said, of your life's upcoming attraction. So it's really powerful. Which comes to my third point. What I often see a lot of people do in their visualization is they just think at a conscious level. They don't really feel it. And what do I really mean by that? And that's where also affirmation comes. Like, let's say you say to yourself 100 times a day, you affirm, I am rich, I am rich, I am rich. What does it mean? What does it mean to be rich? Like, your mind doesn't know what to work on. Like, I am rich. So vague, like it's so here up in the air, right? Similarly, when you're visualizing, and if you are just like saying, okay, I see myself with a lot of money, and you see yourself holding money, but that's not how it's going to happen when you have money, right? it will be specific scenarios. So when I visualize me telling my husband, I am so specific and so detailed in my imagination, that I know that he's wearing a red color shirt, that I know what trousers he's wearing, that I know what file, like not what exactly the file, because I don't know his Excel files at all, but what does the Excel file looks like? What is the color of the top box? What is the color of, what is he actually doing? I know all of, and I have just created them in my mind to make it as powerful and real as the physical. So when you actually have that money, you will not have half of the picture, you will have the whole 4D experience of that, right? In fact, 3D, I shouldn't say 4D because it's in 4D already. You will have a 3D experience. That means you will see what colors, you will see what pictures, you will see all of that. So you need to feed your subconscious that, not just I see myself with a lot of money and I see myself with money. What does it mean? I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich. What does it mean? I'm confident, I'm confident. What does your most confident version looks like? Do you even know that? Do you know how what do they believe? How do they feel? So what I feel is, a lot of times, like Bob Proctor, my mentor, used to say, that people don't internalize that. People don't embody that. It's not in your body. It's not in your subconscious. Like, it's not in every fiber of your being, because you're thinking at a very high level. And when that thing actually manifests, it's not going to be that high level. It's going to happen in a very physical, detailed 3D way. Okay? So be very potent and powerful, and have very powerful and detailed images, to the point that you know every single detail. Okay, so I know where he would be sitting, how he would be sitting, how he would look at me. I see his eyes. When I feel his eyes looking at me, and me telling him, and he's looking in amazement, all of a sudden I feel that more in my body. Okay, so the key to make it really powerful is to have vivid images, vivid detail. But we are more focused on, let me just believe faster. You cannot force yourself into believing anything. But as Napoleon Hill said in the chapter Faith, that anything that you keep observing over and over and over again, you will believe automatically. That's not even a question. Okay, it's going to happen naturally. So, but the key is that you really connect with it, and the more you make it vivid and specific, the more powerful it's going to be. Because when that thing is actually then happen, you will realize it's a copy paste. But if there is nothing to copy, what can your imagination copy paste? That's the problem. Okay, so a lot of people ask me this question, that I have ADHD, and I feel like I cannot concentrate in my visualization. So I have got a separate video on that, which you can find on my YouTube channel. We can probably link that video as well, where we talk about, if you struggle to visualize, okay, there are really powerful tools you can use instead of visualizing, and you don't think that you're missing out. You're not. When we understand how visualization is done, we can replicate it in so many ways. So there is a video, we link it up, okay, so you can watch it, and hope you have a lovely day. Happy visualizing and creating your life. Thank you.